Boom. What's up, everybody? We're here with another episode of the Southern Fried Real Estate Show. And today I have one of my good buddies with me, Mr. Derek Peterson. He is a fellow real estate professional in Mobile, Alabama with us here. And just like to welcome you. Welcome to the show, Mr. Derek.
Appreciate it.
Derek has a really cool history with how his talents that he has now were kind of nurtured and were the source of a lot of his knowledge about the business and the overall spectrum, not just on the residential side, but commercial and everything as well, and systems and all kinds of stuff. But I'll let him kind of explain that for you guys. So, Derek, tell us a little bit about how you got going in your career and the path that you ended up being on.
Well, graduated from Bama.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Degree in political science and geography with an urban planning concentration, and went to work for the city of Mobile as a city planner.
City planner? What is that? What does a city planner do?
Basically, just regulates development, rezonings, subdivision development, all commercial development in town, and issuing permits, writing staff reports for the planning commission.
That sounds really
council.
exciting.
It was very exciting. Very exciting.
So, how long were you there?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years exactly.
Would you say that you learned a lot?
I'd say I learned a lot. I'd say I gained a wealth of knowledge in every aspect of development, and fighting through red tape with getting permits and stuff.
Did that help you with your path? Because from there, I guess you went into real estate, right?
Well, yeah, I got my real estate license right before I left, and immediately started consulting. So I recognized a need when I was working for the city of how to get things done in town. It's in the city of Mobile, at least at the time, it was very difficult to do anything. Open up a business, get a building permit, and I saw the answers while I worked there. I knew what to do, but it's like, when they call it red tape for a reason. My hands were tied. I couldn't do anything to help anyone. So I decided to fill that void in the private sector and started consulting for local developers and engineers in town, and did that for a couple years until ran back into you and activated my real estate license. And I guess the knowledge that I had from that has really benefited my real estate business, just by knowing all the rules and regulations of development. And it's actually interesting how much of that does apply in the residential realm.
Yeah.
Just basic where to find answers and how to find those answers.
Right. So one thing I've always noticed about you is you're very organized, especially with your thoughts and stuff. Where would you say that stemmed from?
Organized with,
like how you run your business and keep up with everything.
Well, I've seen the way not to do things, working for government. Very unorganized and very frustrating, and I think I'm a very analytical. I have a very analytical mindset. I analyze everything, and I can't stand for something to be
inefficient.
I guess I got that engineer kind of mindset where it has to make sense. Mm-hmm. If something doesn't make sense, I'm gonna keep at it until it does. I'm gonna find the answer.
Right.
There is no gray area for me.
And that's kind of how you run your business, right?
Right.
Would you say that was probably one of the things that you attribute to part of your success, is like working like that for your clients?
I think it Yeah, I think it very much so. Um, Being able to not only, well, I guess keeping myself organized translates into, a smooth process for my clients.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right. Well, on another subject, let me ask you about systems. You're definitely a systems guy, that's for sure. What's the number one tool you use for the systems you put together?
Evernote.
Evernote. The regular version or the paid?
Oh, definitely premium.
Premium version.
You have to pay for it
Because it's a whole $10 a month.
It's $40 a year.
Yeah, so you invest that in your business.
It's definitely a no-brainer.
Spend the bucks on that. I definitely think that's a super untapped tool in the real estate market for sure. But
the return on that is just unbelievable. What you can do with Evernote.
Without a doubt.
If you're not using Evernote, you are a fool.
You're doing it the hard way. That's for sure.
On a Mac, though,
gotta use a Mac. If you're using a PC and you're not using Evernote,
you need to go back to school.
You gotta. I mean, we're from the South, and we're saying this. I mean, we're the last people that's supposed to have this kind of
technology.
Yeah. So if we're on Mac, and we're calling it out. So with Evernote, you've got all these systems, and I always kid you about like when you put together a system, you're doing it for yourself and for your business. But what I've always kidded around is I was like, Derek, every time you do something like this, your system is almost like enterprise level because it's so thorough and just immense as far as all the pieces and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, some people are just like that, some people are not, but there is a happy middle ground, of course, with that you could use Evernote for. But you definitely have a very itemized, very intricate, attention to detail system. Every step of the process is built in there or whatever. So, I know there's two things that stand out immediately. One of them is kind of like I said originally, like, your buyers, how you work with buyers, but it's really how you work with buyers or sellers, so how you work with clients in general. But the other thing was this thing that you kind of put together using Evernote, which is a communication log that you use with everybody. Everybody has a communication log, right?
That's right.
Well, the systems with the buyers and the sellers are just, immense, and we all kind of know what we do when we work with buyers or sellers. But I think what you guys would really be intrigued about is the communication log that you.
That's my journal.
Your journal. So kind of hit us with a brief description of what is this journal thing, and like why does it matter, and what is the value that a client could see in it, and what are the value that you see in it?
Well, I've said before that the most important thing in being a realtor and being successful is communication and transparency. That kind of, in a nutshell, my journal is basically me staying in touch with for instance, my sellers. Probably the biggest concern that a seller has about real estate agents is that, they put a sign in their yard and they never hear from them again.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no communication at all. But a lot of, even though a lot of agents might do that. They might not stay in touch with their clients very often, but they still do a lot of work. They're very good agents who, I've had sellers say something negative about a particular agent that they never, would never call them or anything. But but I know the agent; they're very good. Mm-hmm. So they don't realize how much stuff that is done behind the scenes. So I kind of took that. That's where I was coming from when I built the journal. I wanted my clients to know what's exactly going on.
It's like this transparency factor, principle that you have in your work ethic and your work style. Transparency. You want them to see what you're doing.
Right.
And so that's one purpose for the journal, is so they have an understanding almost in live time, right? About what's going on, what you've done, what's left to be done.
And to communicate with them. If I'm busy, if I'm not calling you, there's a reason. I'm busy. But I'm always updating the journal. So basically what my journal is.
What's in the journal?
Like Evernote, if you're familiar with Evernote, it's basically their motto is remember everything or something. Anyway, it's just something like a bunch of notes that you can create. So I made, and for every client, I have a notebook, and in that notebook, I have a journal. It's one note in that notebook, and it's basically a running log of everything that I've done, from the first moment I met them from the initial consultation to the present day. And there's
Is it
checklists in
template?
it.
Okay, so it's like a template for each one, right? It's not like just a blank page. You
No,
built
right.
a template.
I built it out to.
So, like, what are the main parts of that template? Like a milestone, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Like, how would you say this thing is structured out? How do you use it?
Well, at first, I get all their information. So part of the note is general information on my client. Their name, their contact information. What are their motivations, their wants, their needs. Why are we even having a discussion about real estate? I make sure to keep very detailed notes on everybody, and I put that in there so that they see, and a lot of times they can see me. I'm taking notes in front of them, in the note, and they really like that. Shows that I'm paying attention to them.
Right.
And then I also have certain documents in there, like common paperwork that we use in transactions. Whether it's informational stuff like home,
like a buyer's guide,
seller's guide, stuff like that.
So that's preloaded in this.
It's already loaded in there.
And the key factor here is this whole time when you start working with somebody, as you fill this thing out, they have access to it as well, right?
Right. So I got all that main information, and then I have the actual log. So, on this date, we had initial consultation. I did paperwork on this date. There was a showing on this date. I boosted an ad on Facebook, and I got the screen capture of the success of that ad. How many people saw it?
Yeah.
How many people liked it, shared it? I stick that screenshot on this date. So, and then you can actually share. You can share anything from Evernote. So I create a public link to that note, and email it to my clients.
And all they have to do is just click that in their email.
It's a live
and it
link.
takes them right to it at any time, right? It doesn't expire or anything.
No, never expires unless I deactivate the link. But
right.
They can put it in their notes app on their phone. They can keep it in their email. They can wherever they want to keep it. Whatever. It's completely up to them. But anytime they follow that link, it opens up and shows a running live feed of our relationship, of the experience that I'm providing to them.
That probably cuts back on a lot of questions
in
general, probably, because they know. Now, do you build that in your presentation where you're constantly reminding them about the log?
Some of them I do, but some of them, are catch on and are always looking at the note. They know to go to that if they can't get a hold of me.
And they don't even have to be techie. They just have to have an email address. So, like, you can email it to them or text them, I guess.
Actually, you can text a link to them. All they have to have is that link.
That link. And you just hit that text, and that's the end of the technological knowledge they need to have.
That's
Skill.
right.
They just go flip, and it opens up.
It opens up a web page.
And every time they open it, it's the newest live version, right? Because they don't have to save it or do anything. So, like, they can refer back to it at any time.
Anytime.
And it's always where you're at in the transaction.
That's right.
I think that's beautiful because, fear is the main thing we have to overcome constantly with people's emotions throughout these processes. And it's because it's like the most expensive thing they're ever going to buy or sell, unless they're going to a bigger house or something, But that is such a great use of Evernote because so many people that I've talked to about it use it for all their systems and templates for working with buyers and showing properties. But I've never really kind of heard anybody talk about a log, and I really like how you've kind of taken that and turned it into something very useful because you have a team and your team uses it now, right? Like
yes, it's everything. Basically, we run our team. Our team is run based on the systems I've built.
Right.
Yeah.
That that doesn't surprise me or anything. I think it's a no-brainer. For agents out there that have looked, we get lost in this back and forth email with our clients, and it just becomes a mess. The inbox in general, the design is so inefficient, even with what Google's tried to do, because they just cause you to miss more emails than you mean to, making all these new tabs for promotions and everything like that. But to have something that you don't have to build software for that gives you kind of like a clean slate to design your style of structure you want to work with and create your own workflow. Evernote does a beautiful job with that, and you've kind of taken that and developed this whole journal system. I really like it. I think a lot of people out there we'll probably shoot you an email or something asking you more questions about it because it's a no-brainer. You don't have to go find the thread of emails where you've been communicating with your client and all that stuff. You kind of just keep it all together. I mean, you could technically go to every email as they come in and copy and paste it and put it in there, couldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a full log. It really is. And you can add voice, video, PDFs, JPEG, whatever, so it's not like it's like limited to anything. It's not limited to anything, really. I mean, you can't physically put this coffee cup in it, but I could take a picture of it and put it in there, I guess, right? So it's definitely a full-on log. Well, let me ask you this. What do you do to stay sharp and stay on top of your game and what it takes, with this real estate lifestyle, because this is a lifestyle. This isn't, just a job or a business. This is, you really, to be successful, in my opinion, you have to live this, and this is your lifestyle. So what do you do? What are some things you do to stay sharp, stay ahead of the game, stay relevant, stay better?
Being better. Reading, educating myself, doing research, learning real estate. Anyone who says that they know everything in real estate is probably knows the least. Because I found every transaction that I do, I learn something new.
Yeah.
And whether it's mind blowing or just like, oh, cool, that's a different way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Reading books. Every morning I read for at least an hour. I'd say Monday through Friday. I'm reading in the mornings for an hour.
Anything you recommend?
It's
what's the number one book right now, like lately, that you've read that's had the most impact on your business?
Man, it's tough to say. But Tom Hopkins' Mastering the Art of Selling is
that's just old school.
It's just
evergreen,
man, it's
timeless stuff, isn't it?
It's good stuff. Man.
It's good stuff.
You can't. It's always going to be relevant. And, it's if you haven't read it, you should. I highly recommend it. Lately I've might catch some flack from some of the viewers, but I've been reading some of Donald Trump's books, and I never realized how brilliant that guy is. Some of the way he handles his big deals that he likes.
Disclaimer. I can't vouch for anything either way. No, just kidding.
That is not an endorsement in any way to Donald Trump, but it's just I like to read different people's perspectives on stuff.
Yeah, you cannot deny the guy knows that business.
Just the stories of how he put his big deals together. It's just very interesting, and I try and relate it. I've had some pretty crazy deals myself, and learning from other people, seeing, failure is a form of learning. But when you read about other people's failures, that's also learning. It's kind of like
so that
you don't make that same mistake.
Yeah,
right?
You don't have to go through that to learn.
Exactly.
You can use somebody else's experience as your own.
How to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
Carnegie. It's that book is, I'd say, just as good as Mastering the Art of Selling. That's a must read.
Oh yeah, and it was written like 70, 80 years ago, right?
Yeah,
90,
like 20s or 30s or something. It's just that book is just it's good. It's a very
good deal. Well, what's the number one app that you're using right now?
Evernote.
Evernote. All right, what's another app? Well, yeah, but what's another?
There are already other.
Yeah, okay. So what?
I use an app called To Do, which
how do you spell that?
It's actually the number 2 and then DO.
That's the app name for one to find it in the App Store.
That's right.
Do.
That's
no
right.
space?
No space.
No space. To Do.
I use that for, as my to-do list. I'm completely paperless. I don't have, this is kind of bothering me having this in front of me.
Because it's paper?
Because it's paper. I hate that. I can't stand paper. So everything I do is digital, and in that app I have all of my projects I'm working on with tasks within them, due dates on them. Anything that I can think that I want to do or need to do goes into that app. Yeah. So I could use Evernote for that, but I found that
Evernote doesn't do a good job managing your time.
It's quicker to go into the to-do app
Yeah.
than it is Evernote to create a to-do list.
So you got to-do managing your time and your appointments and just collecting, everything that you have to keep up with as far as your day planning goes. You got Evernote for your systems and keeping up with your client communication and everything like that. So, what would you say is like that final piece that you would recommend, to come full circle, what runs your business?
Having the Starbucks app on your phone.
Definitely.
I'm trying to think, man.
What about like dot loop or anything like you use?
Dot loop, in my opinion, dot loop. I mean, it's great. It's a very integral part of my business. I don't know what I'd do without it. But I mainly stick to my computer for dot loop.
Okay.
I mean the app is
not
great.
Your app, not your app.
Not the app on my phone.
What about like, to manage any other aspect? Like, do you have a CRM that you use?
Yes and no.
You mainly use that in Evernote?
We have, yes.
To keep up with
I use
their
Evernote
info
for like current stuff, and my pipeline is all in Evernote. Follow up. I guess in the back end of our website.
And Zap platform,
right?
That we just launched, yeah.
Right. I'm not real big on email campaigns and email marketing because of what Google one, because I don't ever open them myself.
Yeah.
And I think it's just kind of lost its. I think email marketing is kind of a thing of the past. They got to come up with a new way to be relevant and marketing to people.
What about Facebook?
Facebook that's where everybody is. I mean, that's by far the one and only marketing platform, in my opinion.
What about Zillow? Do you use Zillow? Do you buy ads or anything from Zillow?
No, I don't.
Or zip codes, not ads, zip codes?
No, I don't do any of that. I get the phone calls every day almost, wanting to sell me a zip code, but the amount of time, competing with other agents for the business, it's. I don't really like having to call somebody and within 5 minutes of getting it, because most of the time I'm in a meeting anyway and I can't call them. So to me, it's a waste of money.
Okay, so you're out there, your calls, notes, and visiting people.
Right.
That like you're just the core of the referral based business.
Yeah, everything I do is. My entire business is referral based. So that's another reason that I'm not on Zillow. If I didn't have any business, If I didn't have any business, that means I probably got the time to call somebody back in 5 minutes, which means it might be
describe leads. Yeah,
right. Might be worth spending money on Zillow, but for me, I don't have the time nor the interest.
Well, let me ask you one final question then, and we'll kind of wrap this thing up. What would be the number one piece of advice if a brand new agent was sitting in front of us right now? What would be that number one thing that you said, hey? The faster you figure this out, the better, or make sure you're using this. What would be the number one thing, other than Evernote, that you would advise a brand new agent getting in the business to help them become successful faster?
Can I say buy a Mac?
You can say whatever. Or buy a Mac. Yeah, get a Mac computer. Yeah.
Get on board with Apple for sure. And that's,
just makes the business go easier.
Absolutely. I couldn't imagine running my business on any other software or any other operating system. But a new agent, start educating yourself. Learn paperwork. Know what you're doing, but also don't be afraid to say you don't know the answer to something. But
be able to get the answer.
Other than that, just be real. Be
who you are.
Be who you are.
Don't pretend.
The worst thing you can do is pretend to be something you're not to somebody you don't know. and be honest with yourself and your clients.
Cool deal. Cool deal. Well, man. Well, I think what you've shared is definitely very, very valuable, especially to those that are trying to find those answers right now. So I appreciate you dropping some pearls on us today and being part of the Southern Fried Real Estate Show.
My pleasure.
Hopefully you guys got some value out of the conversation today, and we look forward to seeing you in the future on some more episodes of